Alright, I just got a new MIDI keyboard, the Arturia Keylab 49. This thing is heavy. We are gonna make a beat with this today. It's a little secret, I already made the track. It sounds like this. Channel members can watch the raw, uncut 45-minute session of me making that beat. No talking, just pure struggle. I'm gonna walk you through my process of making this track from scratch. First, 60 seconds about this new Keylab. The Keylab is meant to be Arturia's premium offering in terms of MIDI keyboards, and this keyboard has a fantastic build quality, as well as some synth action keys. We've also got a beautiful screen here with Arturia mode and DAW mode. In Arturia mode, we can surf through the different presets. We can also search presets and do things like other parameters, the ARP, splits, etc. We've got faders and touch-sensitive potentiometers. Chord and scale mode actually talk to each other, quantize and undo buttons for your workflow, arpeggiator of course, as well as transport controls, pads that are better than most Arturia controllers. I think they're pretty great for finger drumming. We can scan around our project, which will arm tracks as we select them. We can launch clips using the pads, which is very convenient, a nice addition. And on the back, we've got a bunch of connectivity that you'd come to expect, pedals and MIDI. But that's enough talking. Let's get into making some music. Little aftertouch action. It's pretty cool, but I am spoiled by my Osmos controller, which is like so premium. Anyway, let's scan through and let's find our first sound here. Usually I start with chord progressions. And by the way, for this beat, I already have the drums made. I'm just using a drum loop to start. We'll get into that in a moment. Usually takes a minute to figure out where I want to go tonally, what key I want to play in, what kind of progression I want to make. But slowly but surely, I find the progression I like. But I'm not too convinced on the sound, so I'm gonna browse through and find a new sound. Ah, that's just great. It's like floaty and warm. There we go, loop that. Soloing it from the controller. And let's move on to trying to add a melody. I thought this was going to be a full melody, but I ended up just playing that one note, that one A. We'll dial in the sound a bit here. And I really like how just that single note sounds. So we'll keep that for now. And now let's find an actual melody with some type of keyboard instrument. You hear how this sound kind of floats on top of the chords we already have? It doesn't blend in too much. Something I think a lot about in sound design. I don't want to be redundant with the sounds I choose. I'm pretty happy with that melody. Usually that's how I come up with melodies, just improvising, but I will go back in and do some editing. Like I really didn't like how it ended, so And also sometimes when I'm improvising a melody, I'm playing too much. I'm not leaving enough space. So it's not unusual for me to just go in and delete notes. Just create a little more space. Time for a bass. I'm not really sure what I want to do. I'm usually making like very boring bass lines, so I'm just looking for a solid root note sound. I stumble on this sound and it's not completely a bass, but that string plucking is just so cool. Just keeping things simple, following the root note of the chord. And we're not going to keep that low note. We are just going to delete that. And just end on that same root note. All right, but I did have the idea. I want to add an 808 to this. I want this beat to bounce a bit more. So even though we already added that kind of bass instrument, I'm searching for an 808 here. One frustrating thing is I haven't figured out how to select multiple tags to search on the Keylab itself. I don't know if it's because I have an early firmware version or if that's just not possible. This kind of glidey 808 that still has a punch when you're not playing so legato. I think it fits perfectly. All right, so moving away from the Arturia sounds for a moment, I want to throw a vocal sample in here. Literally the first one I grab from my user library feels like it's gonna work, so I drop it into a simpler. We're gonna warp it. And I like how that sounds, it fits. You can even get a couple pitches out of it. It will be easy for a vocal sample to kind of sit on top of the mix and draw too much attention to itself, but that's not what I want for this vocal. So I am gonna mix it in a bit more. I love that little tail on this vocal sample. But yeah, just a bit more mixing, reverb, delay, a little bit of EQ, pushing it back in the mix. It's part of the atmosphere, not the focal point. All right, there's not enough movement or energy, so let's add some with a hi-hat loop. Give it a touch of reverb so that it blends with kind of the big sound of every other sound in the project. And now it is time to side chain. So I'm just going to create a duplicate of my drum loop since I can't route the kick out and get rid of all the sounds besides the kick. Now we're just going to use this as a signal for the side chain. So I'm going to route that kick track, which we are going to play the clip, but turn the track off so it's not heard. It's just sending a signal to the sidechain compressor, which is going to cause a pumping effect with the kick everywhere we put this sidechain. So we're going to put that sidechain on everything. Just copy paste, copy paste. All right, now my pads, my chords, they get muddy quick. So I'm always pulling out mid-range frequencies. And I am finding I want some brightness from this sound, but I can't do it here in the EQ. Luckily, I can do it in the plugin itself. This will have a nice, a bit more energy, a bit more brightness, and that sound matches everything a bit better. All right, everything just got a lot louder because I added my Beat Sketches my mastering preset. Just kind of colors the sound a bit. Sometimes I push this J37 so it gets a little too crunchy, but this is what I use on the master of all my tracks. Going back in, adjusting this loop. I just want to pull off the, release time on some of these drum hits. Then I want to play with where this is fitting in the mix because it's almost too bright and too thin. Bringing the pitch down actually really helps. Blends a lot better. I'm noticing that I put a sidechain on my 808. I don't want that here. I'm also going to compress the 808 as if it were drums. Meaning I'm going to give the compressor a faster attack speed so that we don't lose that initial impact of the 808. Alright, so we've made space. There's enough space here for vocal for sure. And I love adding top lines to my beat. So let's drop one in and see if it'll work. It's a Splice sample is where I'm pulling these samples from, Splice. We need to fix the BPM on this sample, but it fits pretty well. But I do think we can speed things up a bit. That energy fits this beat a lot better. Don't be afraid to change things like that about your beat if you want to just kick it up a notch. Looking for maybe one more vocal sample to make a different section of a song. I think that fits really well. So having both of those ready to go, I could start building a song around these pretty much. But you'll notice we've turned a few tracks off, just making even more space for the vocals. Like this melody doesn't need to be there if the vocals are there. I don't want them competing with each other at this moment. So I'm just testing different combinations of the different sounds. But as a little pop beat, kind of hip hop, R&B vibe slightly, I think it sounds pretty good. As usual, let me know what you thought of the beat. Let me know what you think of this keyboard down in the comments. Leave a like on your way out, and a special shout out to our channel members. Thank you for supporting the channel. Thank you to Arturia for sending me this keyboard, and I'll catch y'all in the next one. This has been TAETRO. Have a good one.